All right, so I don't have a podium, but I guess I'll just kind of like hold this in my hand, or I don't know what to do with this thing. I don't know. Nah, it's okay. It's got a little strap. I can play with it. But I need to speak louder. Oh my gosh. All right, well, I'm so excited to be here. Ron called me. As I shared with some of you the story, he maybe in the early part of the year, he said, hey, I have some things going on, but I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know. I'll give you a call. Just time in June, we're going to have a conference, and that's all I heard. And then he went ghost for a little while. Didn't hear from him, so it comes around. I put it on my calendar. I was like, something's happening in June. I was like, BTW Society, June. That's all I knew. And so he said he'd call. So May gets here, and he says, hey, we still have that thing going on. I would love for you to be a part of it if you can. I still have no idea what this thing is. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it already? But I guess he didn't want to tell me because he didn't want to get me all excited and revved up, and then it doesn't happen. So last week, Thursday, well, it's June, right? It's like June 10th. I said, Ron said he was going to call. I haven't heard anything. I'm looking at the calendar. We're moving swiftly through June. I'm like, okay, he said he was going to call. So he's a man of his word. So I was like, okay, he will call. Last week, Thursday, he calls me and he says, so yeah, that thing, remember that thing? He said, so it's happening, and what it is, it's a 2-day training conference, and we have all these exciting people coming, and I would love if you can be the keynote speaker. And I'm like, shut up, Ron. I did, I told him that, I know, right? So he gives me all of the details, and he's like, yeah, we're gonna do this. And I was like, no way. I was like, so is this what it was? He's like, yeah, I wanted to make sure that we had everything in place, and then like I said, I didn't get you all excited. So here I am today. And Ron, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. Just briefly, I wanted to share some nuggets with you guys about as you journey on, and if you decide to go on and continue to start your club, some thoughts and ideas that I wanted to share, or things that can help you be mindful of. And it's all fundamental things. It's going back to the basics. It's remembering, although we're adults and we might have, and we think we've mastered or we have figured out how to do it, but sometimes we skip and we overlook, the little things, the fundamentals. So I have 2 acronyms that I came up with. I like to speak in metaphors or acronyms because sometimes it's easier for people to remember. So my first question to ask you, or that I will ask you, is, are you pacing yourself? Okay, and pace is an acronym for preparation, awareness, character, and emotional intelligence. Okay, so that's the first part. And everybody's like, what's emotional intelligence? Okay, we'll get there, don't worry about that. The second question is, what's your rhyme and reason? And rhyme, not like, rhyme like the beat, the music, but the acronym is RIME, rhyme. What are your resources? Are you being innovative? What's your methodology? And are you making ethical decisions? My background is in sports. So a lot of times ethics in sports comes up with the whole the domestic violence and the suspensions, and should this person have gotten this fine or that fine and this, that, and the fifth. Should stadiums or should governments, local governments sponsor stadiums with taxpayers' dollars? Those are all ethical decisions. So when we are, in order to protect ourselves and the children or the people that we're serving, we must be sure that we're making ethical decisions. All right, so I want to start off with asking you, why are we here? Why are we here?
Learn about building programs for kids to make them
Okay,
better citizens.
right, okay, so now why are you here?
For an opportunity to learn how to help the people in my community a little more.
So you have a genuine desire. You didn't just show up because there was an invitation to come, or there was going to be food, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hotel had breakfast and dinner. You can't find it in too many places. I'm still waiting on Archie. Promised me some shirts, but I'm not going to say anything. He told me not to tell anybody. But you're here for a specific purpose. You showed up because you decided to make a commitment to a cause. And that cause is to teach our young Americans or equip our young Americans with the necessary tools so that they can excel and succeed. If you are here for any other reasons, I encourage you to, there's a door, to be quite frankly. Because if you don't make the commitment and if it's not sincere, then you cannot deliver the message or the lesson effectively. All right, you have to have a genuine heart for what it is that the society wants to do, how they plan to reach the children, and you have to be able to give your all into whatever that cause is. Like I said, if not, then it's a lost cause. All right, so you made the commitment to be here, you understand why you're here, and I'm glad you guys are here. And I hope that each of you here do in fact go back, and if you have not started your club yet, that you do take it seriously and that you are on board with us, really, like for real, because this was an investment that you either made yourself, that the society has invested too. So, everybody's put into this, and I hope that you get as much out of it as you put into it. All right, so pacing yourself, preparation. Johnny, how do you prepare for anything? How do you prepare? If you are teaching, right, how do you prepare for your Cub Scouts? Research. So, are you the type of person who gets your clothes out? How many of you take your clothes out the night before? How many of you do like I do and think about it, right? You think about it and you know in the morning, okay, when I get up, I'm going to go in my closet. But, okay, so now which method is more effective? If you do it the night before, or if you know in your head what it is that you want to do, that you want to wear. Says who? Both work. It depends on the person, right? So your preparation depends on the method that works best for you. All right? For me, I am a thinker. I like to think. I write. I like to jot down my thoughts. I use a calendar, I use an agenda, but I replay things over and over in my head to keep it fresh, right? I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I was saying that many times I don't give myself enough credit. Like, I think I have to sit here and write everything down and, go word by word, and I don't have to, but I do it as a safety net. But really, Elijah asked me if I was going to wing it. Right? And I was like, well, no, I'm not going to wing it. I actually have, I wrote down some things and I kind of know what I want to talk about. But if you're going to wing it, make sure you know what you're talking about. Don't just get up there and blow in hot air, all right? Because people will dismiss it, all right? If you are prepared, preparation saves you time. In the event that something happens, your plan A falls through, preparation says, okay, I have a contingency plan. Now I don't have to waste time thinking, okay, what do I do? But you already have a contingency plan in place. So plan A falls through. It's like, all right, plan B, here I go. You just jump right into action. So preparation saves you reaction time. It saves you time, and then you can quickly convert to your contingency plan. If you are not prepared, you will get called out. If you go before an audience or whoever your audience is and you're not ready, they will know, they can tell, they will sniff you out. And what will happen is anything that you say will immediately get dismissed, and it will not reach its intended audience. It'll go in one ear and go right out the other. And then on top of that, they'll challenge you because they know you're not on top of your game. They know you're not ready. They know you're probably just piecing through this all together, right? So they'll say, okay, well, how come this? Well, why is that? And then you'll be up there, and then you just start making up stuff at that point. And they'll just be like, I know what he's talking about, So preparation is key. And I know we're all adults, and yeah, we may know how to manage our time and do this, but a lot of times we throw stuff together. Let's be honest. We do. We throw it together because we figure we have it together or we can do it. But then when the pieces finally do come together, it still looks like shambles because it's all thrown together. No thought, not enough thought or consideration went into whatever the task was. So preparation is vital. Preparation is essentially important. Awareness. It's the A in the PACE. Awareness. Do you know your children? Many, you're going to be working with kids, you're going to be working with youth. Many of you already do work with youth. You have children or have had children of your own. But do you really know what's going on? Is knowing the demographics enough to be able to reach your kids? No, Heather says no, it's not. You know, you already know that many of them are going to come from disadvantaged backgrounds. You already know that they probably don't have a father, or it's a one-parent household, right? You know that already. But what else besides that might be going on? We're talking about teenagers. We work with teenagers, right? Teenagers, middle schoolers. What goes on around about that time in middle school? What's happening to the youth? Their bodies are changing. Okay, they're going through all these changes, and many times they don't realize it, but we as the adults do. So we have to be mindful of those things when these young men start coming into the classroom and they start flaring up and their chest start poking out because they done met a girl and had some intimacy time, and now they feeling like, you know, top dog. It's like, young man, have a seat. Like, you're here, I need you to bring it down here. Because you feel like you the man, you done finally got you a piece. You know, you got some. Let's be real, be honest, because they talk about it. Come on, this is what we have to deal with. And then, you know, they'll come in feeling a little cocky, feeling a little arrogant, and like I say, puffed up, and may cause their behavior to change, and that behavior can be a distraction. So as the male leaders, we have to, and even as the women, we have to be mindful of that. So when we do notice that, it's to say, okay, I already know this about him. He's probably acting out because of this. Let's have a sidebar conversation. You know, let's take 30 seconds to figure out, okay, what's going on? Or either before or after your club, where you pull that child aside later on and kind of really find out what's going on. Same thing with females. For all of us working with, same thing with girls. We know, women, we know what we go through. But the younger girls may not necessarily know. So they might come in happy one day, and then the next day they come in and they're just all sad and depressed, and they don't know why. But you see them, they have their head down, you know, and they don't know what to do with themselves. They have all these feelings and emotions, and they're sad and they're happy one minute, and if you say the right thing but the wrong way, you know, they break out in tears, and it's just like, oh my gosh, these kids. So when they're coming in and they're making all this noise and they're frantic, you have to be able to do a quick analysis. I can't expect everybody to think like me, you know, but I scan the room and find what's the word I'm looking for? Anything that's out of the ordinary. You know, again, because you guys have worked with kids for an extensive period of time, so you know what's expected, you know behavioral manners or what to expect. There are certain things that are acceptable, but then there are some where you just be like, okay, you have to ask questions. Find out what's going on. It could be that one little girl, she came, I work with a youth group at my church, and she went into the house. We made her go change her clothes because we were going to a church event. And she comes back and she's crying. I'm like, she's the cutest little thing ever. I say, what happened? She gets in all mad. I don't say anything at first, but I notice she's mad. So she gets in, we're driving for about 10 minutes. I look back, she's still mad. So later on, I turn back, still got the little long face. I say, it's okay, you can smile now. And she tried to stay mad, but then that broke it. And then later on, I say, well, what happened? You know, she says, well, she's like, nothing. I say, no, something happened. You went in the house and then you came back out crying. What happened? And then she just spilled all the beans. Oh, my mom, she hit me for no reason. She was fussing and yelling at me. I didn't even do anything. I just wanted to change my clothes. Okay, well, why did she yell at you? I don't know. She was mad. She was talking on the phone and then she just started throwing stuff at me. And I'm like, interesting question. And this little girl, come to find out when we went to service that night, thought that the only way she can get out of her problem and her mom hitting her and saying things to her and being bullied in school was what? Anybody guess? Take a wild guess. Suicide. She thought that the only way that she can keep her mom from hitting her and whatever abuse she was experiencing at home was to just not live anymore. She said, it's the only way. And I said, no. It's not the only, but these are the type of things that they are experiencing in their home, aside from whatever statistical family they might be a part of. So we have to ask the questions, and not just ask questions, but ask the right questions. You know, there is some type of systematic way of asking questions, but I'm just like, okay, what happened? Well, why did that happen? Well, who did it? Well, why do you think they did it? What was your part? What part did you play in that? You know, they get the girlfriends and the boyfriends, and they think they're in love, and then the boyfriend. I mean, this is middle school. You're dealing with this in middle school. Okay, so awareness, knowing your kids, knowing them beyond what the statistics say that they are. Dig a little deeper. Find out what's really going on, because if not, then they will forever, you will only be able to reach them at the surface. You won't be able to dig down deeper if you don't take the time. That's the other issue, time. You have to be passionate about this stuff. It has to be something within you to be able to say, okay, she needs special attention right now. I need to direct my attention to this individual. And not during club time, but you're mindful of it to revisit that child or revisit that conversation and really get down to the bottom of why this child is really having that issue. And those are the things that they remember later on when they get older or as they continue. You might be that one person, or it might be that one thing that you said that will keep her from not committing suicide. All right? C, character. It's what the foundation, what the society is built on, right? The life of Booker T. Washington, the life of character. We should always be evolving as a person. We should always be working on ourselves. We should always want to be better than we were the day before. The thing with character is, or in working with children, is that, and Ron talked about it, more is caught than taught. All right? They will remember more of what they saw than what you said. If you watch, anybody in here watch Animal Planet? Yeah, the nature channels. Okay, if you watch the lioness, the cats, right? There's this one episode where the kids, the cubs, are trying to go for a kill, but they don't quite get it. So the moms and the aunts they get the kill, but they don't kill it all the way. They disable the food, the prey. And then they let the cubs finish it off. And they stand back and they watch the cubs so that they can make sure that they're learning the proper way to get a kill and go hunt and pray and do all those things, right? Mm-hmm. The same thing as us. We, as the adults, as the leaders, we have to be mindful and intentional about what we do, what we say, and how we say it, because they are always watching. And then if you wonder why they mimic, or when you see them doing things like, where do you get that from? Who told you how to do that? They probably got it from you, believe it or not. It probably was something that you said, probably something that you did. They saw you handle a situation a certain way, so when they were presented with something similar, guess what they did? They reacted the same way you reacted, because they think that that's how it's supposed to go. If they don't know any other way, then what way will they follow? So character, working on ourselves and developing ourselves is something that we have to do every single day. You follow me? It's one of those things to where you're always learning. All right, there's learning never stops. We're forever a student. There's this famous quote, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, but when I put it in my own words, it was, we are forever a student. You know, we're always learning, continuing to learn, grow, and evolve. And then I want to tie in character with this emotional intelligence piece. How many of you have what is it called, road rage? Oh, so y'all don't live in Miami. That's the problem. You guys don't live in Miami. You don't live in South Florida. That's why you don't have road rage. All right? You guilty of road rage? Yes. Or if you go work out, right? If you go to anybody in here work out? All right, if you go to the gym and you work out and somebody goes and you're about to walk to a machine and they get to it before you do, or you're using it and they just come and butt in, do you like have a fit? Do you get mad? Do you get angry? Does that just throw off your whole workout and you leave? No? It depends. If I'm in a zone and somebody comes to take my machine, I might feel some type of way about it because you just messed up my whole cycle. Like I was flowing. You know, I was in my groove. I had my sets going and I had my music pumping, and so you're just gonna come and take my machine like that? I don't even want to work out anymore. Forget this crap. I'm gone. I'm done for today. I'll try again tomorrow. No, you cannot. When you're working with children, you do not get to blow up. Okay, you do not get to have a bad day. And if you do, they should never know. Because if you're bringing your frustrations coupled with their frustration, that's a disaster waiting to happen. They come in yelling and screaming and all hormonal and stuff, and you come in because something happened at home that happened probably 2 days ago or earlier that morning, and you still mad and you still upset, and now it's club time, and they come in, and you come in, sit down over there, get over there. No. Why did you do that? Didn't I tell you to get over there? This is all these kids here at home fussing, yelling, screaming, cussing. You cannot do that. Because if not at home, if they can't come to school and get it, then where else are they going to turn to? The streets. They're gonna go out to the streets, so they're gonna find someone else who's not yelling and screaming at them, who's probably gonna be an influence, but it might not even be a positive influence. Okay, so you have to find within yourself, okay, self, what at the airport, when I was coming here and we had the situation with the baggage, I was about to have a fit. Like, I was like, okay, no. I felt myself, like, tears started to well up because I'm like, no, I want to go. You know, this is an awesome opportunity. Like, why is this happening? So I'm just like, you know what? No. I was like, keep it together, Judy. Come on. Find a way. Figure it out. So I was like, okay, I got this. I was like, keep it together. In my head, I just kept saying, keep it together. You will not make a scene in front of all these people at the American Airlines departure kiosk. You will not do that. You're cute today, okay? You do not get to, be sad face, and because you can't get your ticket right now. So what? Is it the end of the world? If I didn't get a flight that day, I could have got a flight the next day. It would not have been the end of the world. I could have blew up and had a fit and say, Ron, you know what? This sucks. I'm not coming. I'm just gonna miss my flight and forget this. And you can't do that. You have to keep it together at all costs. You can't break down on the kids. You cannot just throw yourself away and just, well, you know what, I don't want to deal with this today, or halfway do the job because you're in your feelings. No, get out of your feelings, snap out of it, give yourself two minutes. You get 120 seconds. Step outside for a second. All right. Dust it off, shake it off. All right. Somebody said whenever you find yourself raging in fumes, you're going ballistics, drink a glass of water. Drink a glass of water, go take a walk, and come back. Okay, now let's regroup, let's start all over again. Because when your kids come to you after school, whenever you meet with them, they should not know, when they see you, it should always be like when they see you in the grocery store, like, oh, my teacher. They should only know you as the teacher. They should know you as a teacher who shares all their drama. Like, why do they know what's going on in your household? Why do they know your husband cheating on you? Why do they know this, that, and the fifth? Your kids do this and your kids do that. When you show up for work, you show up to work. All your attention is given to them. All right, you don't get to play patty cake. You don't get to, halfway do it. You show up to perform. You have a job to do. You have a message to deliver. You have a task at hand. Your focus becomes the task at hand. Not what happened earlier that morning, not an email that you got from your principal, all right, not a text message that you got from your boo thing, who just probably pissed you off. No. We have a club. I have 15 kids right here right now for the next 2 hours. This is where my focus is, barring everything else. All right, emotional intelligence is keeping it together at all costs, no matter what. All right, are you pacing yourself? Are you preparing? Are you aware? Character development and emotional intelligence. Pace yourself. Okay, the second part of this is finding your rhyme and reason. Now, I like this. I don't even need this because I can take this straight from the dome. Because I already thought about it in my head, Randy. I've been thinking about it since he called me, on Thursday, so it's on replay. Resources, innovation, methodology, and ethical decision making. When you're forming your clubs, or Elijah was talking to him and Casey were talking about fundraising ideas, right? Resources. What resources do you have available? Resources are not just a textbook. It's not just a phone, but there are individuals, people. Who do you have on your side? What can you use as a tool to help you accomplish what it is that you need to accomplish? accomplish. It can be a teacher. It can be something you go look up on the internet. It could be something you learned back in college. Like, what resources do you have available? What tools do you have in your toolbox that are going to help you build what it is that you need to build? All right. And if you cannot identify those resources, I encourage you, to do an evaluation. All right. Figure out, okay, I have this club. I'm going back to my hometown and I'm going to start this club. What resources do I need to start this club? Who can I use? What can I use? Right? Innovation. It's not 1960, it's not 1950. We have color TV, we have sound. It's not, silent movies, and it's not black and white. We now, like I say, we have color. How are you being innovative in using your resources? So innovation is how you use them now. So now you have all these things and you have all these people. How are you being creative? I am creative in nature. It's what I do, right? So I'm always thinking of ways, and first of all, I think outside of a box. I don't even know what a box is. And if you try to put me in one, it makes me sick to my stomach. All right? To do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result is what? Insanity. We have the internet. We have social media. We have YouTube. We have iPhones. We have Androids. We have all this technology. I just saw something new on Snapchat where you can do something on your screen and see all your friends and where they are. And I'm just like, this is too much, too fast. I cannot keep up, with technology. How are you using YouTube in your club? You can use YouTube media. How are you using media? Because that's one of the biggest outlets that's influencing our children today. It's media. So if you're going to reach them, you have to reach them at their level. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Some of you may not get down with the hip hop and the rap and the bebop, but if you want to find out what's tuning into their heads, you have to at least browse and investigate what it is that's going into their brains, what they're listening to, who they're hanging around, and ask them why they're listening to it. But being innovative in how you use these resources is what will help to carry your club and your organization and move it forward towards sustainability. All right? Methodology. So when you hear the word method, it has sort of a scientific connotation to it, right? So that means it's systematic. That means that you're not winging it, okay? And if you did, it's because it was trial and error, right? So you have to come up with a method that works. And the method is not the same for every single task, and it's not the same for every single child. And that's the challenge that we have as leaders and club, as youth leaders and teachers, is that every child is different. And while you might try to group them, still you will reach them individually. So again, being innovative in how you do that, but also coming up with a method that you have tested and proven. And it works for you. You get proven results. You get the results that you want, that you expected. If you don't get the results that you expected, then guess what? You gotta take a step back and try again. Go back and say, okay, what didn't work? What can I try? What can I do differently the second time around? And that's why it's so important to get to know who your children are, who it is that you're trying to reach. Like, really, who are they as individuals? And again, not just a statistical factor or statistical family that they've been placed in. Your method is what's going to get you to that end result. It's not something that you're going to think of in a day. It's not something that the apple might fall on your head and you might have that ta-da moment, or the light bulb might go off, and you do have those. Many times I am sitting in the bed or wherever I am, and I was probably thinking about something. I was like, man, I don't know how to do this. And I see something on TV and I'm like, I could try that. Or I can do that. Oh, I remember they said this. This was a good quote. Let me write this down. And then I go and I figure out how to apply it or how to use it, right? So I come up with a method that works for me. Last year I got a chance to work with a nonprofit, and I facilitated a summer camp. And these were a group of children who, many of them I come to find out, and this is about being aware and knowing who it is that you're trying to reach. Many of them were Haitian descent. And I had come to find out that they had just gotten to the U.S. maybe about 4 years ago. Their 9th grade year, they were all 11th and 12th grade, and they had just gotten to the U.S. So there were still some language barriers. There are still some perception barriers. They're still becoming acclimated to the culture, to the U.S., to the system and how we do things over here. But also, not that I had to speak Creole, but I had to speak in a way that they would understand. I can tell you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but then I have to go to you and say, okay, A, like apple, or alligator, or animals. You know, you have to really change how you talk so that even with their language barriers that they can understand. So this was a 6-week process. And then it took me a while, because first of all, it was late information. I didn't get it until later on. But it took me a while to figure out exactly how to reach them. Children are very guarded at first until they feel like they can trust you and then they can open up to you. I came to find out later on that I said something at one point that sent the kids home crying because they were coming out of dress code, and I was like, you know, you guys are the worst ones. It's always you and da 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 da. And I let them have it because you know why? You know why that was my reaction? Because that's how I was raised. That's how I was brought up. So it's like my godmother and well, not so much my mom, but my grandmother would give you a look that hurt worse than a beating. Boy, when they really say if looks could kill, I'd be dead 30 times over right now. God, don't take me now. Thank you, please. I appreciate it. So I had to, and then the peer educator, she told me afterwards, she tells me all these things in the end, and I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me this sooner? I could have not said those things or figure out exactly how I was delivering the message that I wanted to deliver. So instead of blowing up on them, okay, emotional control, don't blow up on the kids, okay, you know, how can we help you get you guys on track? And not just you, da, 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 because if they go home, half the time they're not eating. They don't have enough food in the house to feed them. They come to school hungry. Oh, by the way, if you ever want to win your kids over, please, 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 always, always, always feed them. Have a snack. If you want to keep their attention, feed them. Because they get out of school, lunchtime, they're hungry again. You know, and they don't always have money to go to the vending machine. They're not going to have time to go to the store and come back. You have to feed them. And not just, you know, food, but up here as well. So you're constantly feeding them, coming up with a method that works for you. And then it helps when you do have, thankfully for the peer educator, she was telling me all these things. She was helping me because she also too came from Haiti along with that other group, but she was there's always that leader that stands out. There's always that one that stands out in the crowd, right? And she was that person. So she was the liaison between myself and the group, and they would tell her everything. And then she said, Miss Judy, maybe you shouldn't say this or say that. And again, I can't be offended by what she's telling me because I don't know. I have to learn how to communicate with them and what it is that they want, meet their needs. How can I help you? What do you need me to do? How can I assist you in becoming the best you can be, right? And then my final point is ethical decision making. So the whole notion about how teachers go broke, spending all their money on kids, and the school doesn't give them a budget or an allowance to buy things for their classroom, or how you had to buy deodorant for this kid, or a toothbrush for that kid, or a comb for this one. How do they say it? Is that bad? Is it bad that you do those things? Is it wrong that you do those things? Is it right that you do those things? Is that the right thing to do? Or why is it the right thing to do? You meet a need, and thankfully, you know, for the person who supplied the deodorant, we appreciate it because you did it for the good of everyone in the room, okay? You know, so it's things like that. When you perform an act, you think, okay, well, who is this gonna benefit? First of all, you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why did you buy the child a comb? Well, why did you say, here's a comb and a brush, go to the bathroom and fix your hair? Why did you do it? It's a purpose that comes from within. It has to be, like I said, a genuine and sincere care and concern for these youth because they need it. They don't get it. I tell Ms. Mary, I was like, I'm like a cat. Like, don't give me love and care because I will stay, All right, I will stay. She fed me. She gave me this. She gave me that. Brought me coffee this morning. I'm like, listen, you and my godmother are gonna have to have a conversation because I might end up staying here in Evansville, right? Like, when you show that kind of, when you're not used to it, and then when you start to receive it, it becomes very attractive. And you want more of it, and you want to stick around, you want to stay close to it. It's like getting that warm meal after being out in the cold or not having a meal for a really, really long time. All right, your decisions, ethics has to do with moral, and again, character. Who are you really? If you're doing it just because you want notice or you want fame, I suggest you take a step back or just not do it at all. You're doing it for all the wrong reasons, and you're not going to send the right messages. Okay, so many times what we do, like one instance, this young lady, the same one, a peer educator, she comes to me and I gave her, when I moved, I went through my closet and I gave her like all of the clothes that, one, I couldn't fit anymore. And because she would come and her clothes would have like holes and stuff in it and things like that. And then someone said to me, oh, why didn't you just give it to the Salvation Army? I'm like, but they're kids who could use it. I was like, oh, and they was like, you can get a tax write-off. I don't care about a tax write-off. This child needs clothes. Like, they come in scraps, and I know what it's like. I came up, for those of you who don't know, my mom had 13 children. Okay, she had 10 boys, three girls. She's a single mom, 12 fathers. Oh, that was 7, but 12 fathers. Only the last 2 have the same fathers. My mom didn't work, so you can understand and imagine what it's like to try to feed. At one point in the refrigerator, we had a stick of butter, and in the cabinet, a can of carrots. She went down the street and she somehow managed to get $1 or $2 and went to the corner store and bought a can of string beans, right? Comes back home, puts that pot on the stove, put them carrots and them string beans in that pot, throw that butter, a little bit of salt. I don't even think we had salt because there was no food in the house, right? Man, you talking about that was the best meal ever? I wanted seconds. Couldn't get seconds. There's no more food. And so I went to the church. I went to my church and I said, if you guys, I got in maybe a crowd about this much. It was a small church. And I said, could you help us? So my family said, we don't have food. And it's a lot of us. Could you help me? And by this time, mind you, I had moved with my grandmother. And so the church got together a $100 offering. We took that to my mom. Now, the fact, I wasn't in the house, but was I wrong for going to the church to ask? There's a church, and I went back and I thanked them. Once they got the food, I got back up again and I said, thank you so much. My mom was able to get food, X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. So I appreciate that. But was the church wrong for providing that or doing that? Or should anybody feel any type of way about it? Would the church have been wrong if they had not done it? Yeah, you guys say, yeah. I'm glad you said that. So when you're thinking about whether something is ethical or moral or not, my professor taught me something, and maybe Elijah knows something a little bit about Kohlberg's theory of developmental theory that has to do with what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's authentic, and existentialism and all that. I know these are huge terms, but don't worry about it. But there are some things when you're trying to decide if a decision was ethical, you have to look at the moderators. They have internal, external, what's going on around the situation, all of the factors that are considered when making this decision. So we have this family, the church gave money or the church didn't give money. What factors surrounded that? Okay, we have to look at the family. Was it something with the family that made the church not want to give or give the money? Who was the person that asked for it? Are there any political ramifications around it? Are there any religious tactics around it that might interfere with the decision-making process? You have to look at everything in its context before you can decide whether an action is good or bad, right or wrong. You have to count the cost. Consider the cost before you perform the act. And you consider the cost as far as you can think. You have to think of every imaginable, and you won't, but you think of everything that you can possibly think of that might be a possible outcome. Good and bad. And you say, okay, now, so here's all the good things that can happen if I decide to do it. Here are all the bad things that can happen if I decide to do it. You weigh your options. You count the cost. And if you perform it and you get either one of those acts, or if you come out on the bad end, you say, well, I knew this was a possible outcome. And guess what? you got to take the hits. You got to take the punches. You got to take the L. If it's good, it's just like, oh, this is great. I was right on the money. Let's move forward. If it doesn't happen, the same thing. Okay, well, I decided not to do these things. Here are the good consequences. Here are the bad consequences. So when you are figuring out your rhyme and your reason, ethical decision making, again, is something that we should always and continually be mindful of when we are especially working with children. Because you can sometimes get yourself into a situation to where it's like maybe you gave a child money, and then the school might frown upon that, or now you get yourself into some trouble, but the child was hungry or they wanted to go on a trip and they couldn't go. So all these things play a part, right? And of course the reason is your purpose. It's why are you doing all this in the first place? It's just keeping your purpose in mind. Is like knowing your mission statement. If you have a company, your company should have a mission statement that at the end of the day, no matter what, your mission statement is what keeps you going. It's that thing that you're working towards. All right? And my final point is this. At the end of the day, when everything's all said and done, when you've closed your books, you're ready to go home, you're ready to shut your eyes for the night, you ask yourself this question. Did I give my children the best possible chance to succeed today? Today, we're only talking about today. Did I do the best that I could to make sure that they were successful in what they needed to accomplish today, something that will carry them on to tomorrow? And if it's yes, you should sleep well. And if you didn't, you might toss and turn a little bit and then think about why or what it is that you could have done differently. Where was the shortcoming? Go back, step back, backtrack, and figure out where were the deficiencies and why you did not provide the best possible service. You did not put forth your best foot, your best effort in making sure that they were successful and excelling that day. Thank you. Thank all you guys. Thank you.